All right. Oh yeah, I'm recording now. Okay, I think I'm good to go. All right, all right. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Everybody is going out there. All right. Now I'm just doing this video recording. Reason I wanted to do this video recording is that I I kind of been. I mean, it's just a lot of things, but I kind of been heavy on uh watching some of these movies and watching some of these signs and certain things they show in different movies. Now, I'm doing this based off of watching the recent Avengers movie, Infinity Wars. Now, I know that movie came out back early in like April or May, but I wanted to wait till at least it came out on DVD. Now, I did see the movie, not in theaters. I wasn't going to really spend money to go see it in theaters, but whatever the case may be. I did see it like on bootleg. I wanted to do it at that time when I first seen it to get my first initial reaction, but it wasn't really authentic because obviously it was a bootleg version. So a lot of scenes and a lot of things weren't really mapping out to um, what what vision it should have been. So I had an issue with that. I wanted to at least wait till it came on DVD so I can at least see it in this, I guess, high definition viewing, so to say, so I can get a clear depth understanding on what was being shown in the movie. Now, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of people in Hollywood, for them to get for the movies to get made in Hollywood, a lot of the directors and a lot of the people in Hollywood have to have some understanding of what our Bible speaks and what the Bible talks about. If you realize a lot of directors and a lot of people don't get any jobs if they don't have a basic understanding. You can take a lot of movies and see a lot of underlying meanings that is very similar, if not fabricated from what is truly in the Bible. But there's a couple of scenes in that Infinity's War movie that were very, very, um, uh, very seeing that the untrained eye or just not the awakened eye would probably understand. But once you kind of understand what the game plan is and what their whole agenda is, then you'll understand exactly what they're trying to do. There was a couple of scenes in the movie that really got to me, and also scenes where I seen and I instantly just knew what they were trying to get at. We can start really like at the beginning of the movie. So basically, at the beginning of the movie, when the main antagonist Thanos, who he got aboard the ship of the Asgardian ship where Thor, Loki, and all the Asgardian people were on, and he basically commandeered the ship and just killed all the people, whatever the case may be. So there was a scene in the beginning where you had the people who were quote unquote the children of Thanos or the Black Order, where they were basically given this little speech of being part of a great cause or a great understanding of them being, oh, you're being destroyed or wiped out by the children of Thanos, which is basically making it good that you're even a part of that, which is stupid. But anyways, then it came to the scene where Thanos actually had his dialect and he has a little speech about destiny and how people run from it and stuff like that, or make your legs turn to jelly. And he says, well, people don't follow that. And then he's had the big scene where he was talking about, well, destiny's here. But he says, well, in that case, I am. Now, I'm just paraphrasing a little bit about the movie because I don't have it in front of me or anything like that or any notes taken down. But he basically was like, I am. And a lot of people who don't really understand the meaning of that, of the word I am, that's a very, very big thing to say in regards to specifically in the Bible. Because if you look in Exodus 3:14-15, where the Most High or Moshe or Moses is talking to the Most High, and he specifically asks him, well, how do I tell the children of Israel who I'm speaking to, what's your name? And he didn't really give him the name. He gave him a title, which is I am that I am. And whenever you hear that word I am, that basically is saying that they're calling themselves Elohim or they're calling themselves God. I am. So when he said that, that's basically what he was saying. Now note also, in the previous Avengers movies, the Age of Ultron, the character who had the mind stone, the pineal gland stone in his head, Vision, that was something that he said too when he kind of got his creation. And that's something else in regards to that meaning of how he was created. But he also said that too, when they were asking him, are you Jarvis? Are you Ultron? He says, no, I am. And people don't realize that when they say that, that's basically what they're saying, is they're calling themselves God. Even a lot of the celebrities, when they name album titles or name titles, Nas had an album called I Am. Beyonce, I Am ... Sasha Fierce. And even the rapper for Black Eyed Peas, his name is Will I Am. You don't want to play around with that. That's something you don't play around with. Calling yourself a god, no, you can't play around with that. But anyways, after that point in that movie where he said that, then we get to other points where he talks about certain things, and obviously just kind of just other parts of the movie. So, you know, Thanos kills Loki and I forgot Idris Elba character's name, but the guy who has the Biofrost or whatever, I forgot his name. I can't remember off the top of my head though. But one thing that Loki has said in the movie before he died, and he's told him, and he says, "You'll never be a god. You'll never be a god," right before he killed him. So he already knew what his obtaining his goal was to be, is to be a god-like figure. Hence why he said the whole "I am" thing. But that was just something that was saying. Now, the next scene I want to talk about is the scene when Tony Stark's and Doctor Strange formally meet, where he says, I need to talk to you to talk about some things. And then they're going over the Infinity Stones. And that was something that really was important too because of that. But basically with the Infinity Stones, they're supposed to represent entities or powers of the cosmos, or powers of the great the earth itself, or like the world, the universe, and so to say. And one of the things they were saying is that during the Big Bang Theory, these elements were created. Total lie. We understand that, well, at least those in the truth that understand who is the creator of this earth and who is creator of this world and the heavens and everything in the firmament beyond the heavens, YHWH, they understand that that's just something that scientists and something that a lot of people who don't want to give him credit would say. But we understand that that's not the case. So my analogy on what the Infinity Stones were is describing what it is in regards to me, it felt like it was basically describing the 12 tribes of Israel, and how when you have the Infinity Stones, if you notice that the Infinity Stones are on a gauntlet or a fist or a hand, and there's 6 of them on each hand. And in the Bible, it talks about the breastplate that the priests would have in Exodus 28. It talks about the breastplate they would have, and each breastplate had 3 rows of 4 stones each, which made the 12 tribes of Israel, each different stone of, amethyst, carbuncle, onyx, sapphire, emerald, stuff like that. I don't have it. Forgive me for not having that information with me right now. I'm just kind of just doing it on the fly after I got coffee and gas. But basically, it reminded me of when I thought about that concept behind it, is that when you got the gauntlets, there's 6 of them on his fist. And if you have the other fist, then you have the other fist, which would have 6 of them on there as well. So basically each hand would have 6 and 6, which makes 12. So I kind of referred to it as being the 12 tribes of Israel, which kind of makes sense in the sense where you would need those stones or those tribes or those things to bring back order or balance, what he would say in the movie. I'm bringing back balance. And that's kind of what he was going at with his little storyline or whatever the case may be. But basically in that scene, it was talking about that. And also we got the idea of Tony Stark's having this new technology, nanotech, where he basically has in his chest piece, he has the technology to become Iron Man, where he don't have to call on his suit, or it just basically he hits a button or whatever, and then all the nanobots come over his body, and then he becomes Iron Man, which is the iron and clay mixing together that don't mesh, which is in the book of Daniel. And that's basically what that is basically the meshing of iron and clay. And there's the symbolism behind that with what they're trying to do. I mean, it's funny how people don't see this in plain sight, but I guess when you don't have eyes that do not see and ears that do not hear, you don't see that type of stuff. But it's one of those things where people don't pay attention to, you know. But also when you think about the amulet that Doctor Strange had on, that was something too, where basically it was a symbolism of the Eye of Horus, or just any kind of symbolism, the circa, the circle, you know, and he throwing up the OK symbol, or like the enchanting symbol that they do when they do yoga and Buddha. That's all kinds of stuff that's totally against the Most High. So it's just one of those things where people don't see that and just think, oh, he's just throwing up signs and stuff like that. But no, he's basically telling people what he's doing and what he's not doing, and it's bothering a lot of people, you know. So that's what it is. Now, another character in the movie, well, we already talked about him, was the Vision. That's the android character in the movie, who has the Mind Stone in his forehead, and that's very significant as well. It's a symbolism. That Mind Stone, if anybody didn't know, was supposed to represent what, the third eye. It's supposed to represent the third eye, where it's in the middle of his forehead, and it gives him clarity, gives him guidance. Even when he was with the Scarlet Witch character, when they were out, he had his human form because he didn't want to be an android, which that's the symbolism of what they're trying to do, is mesh and iron and clay. The same idea with Tony Stark's, but he was asking her, what do you see? What is it saying? And he knew it was telling him something. And a lot of people don't realize that the pineal gland is a very important organ in our body that helps us give clarity, and it gives us understanding on what things are. Hence why he was called the Vision, because it gave him something beyond what was normally given to us, a vision, an idea, or just something that was clearly beyond some kind of other realm. But that's basically what that represents, and it was called the Mind Stone, which means the mind, the eye, the mind. So basically, it's pretty self-explanatory in what that was meaning, though. But another thing that really I wanted to really talk about in the movie was the scene where they were going to flashback with Gamora, when when they met up with Thor, and they were agreeing to help him, and she was just flashing back on when Thanos had kidnapped her. And I was just noticing, like, I wish I had a video of it, because when I seen that scene, the first time I seen that scene, I was like, man, they trying to do something. And I just ask anybody, just look at the video. If you got the movie on DVD or download or stream or whatever the case may be, go back to that scene. I want you to look at the people in that scene. I want you to look at the people and what kind of garb they had on, what kind of elements they had with them, what kind of hair did they have. And it made me feel like that, okay, they kind of trying to tell something to somebody. I mean, just think about what they had on. They didn't look like people who, well, I'm just not going to give that away. I really don't. I want people to kind of research it and look it for themselves. But if you just look at their hair, look at what they had on, look at their facial structures, I mean, it's pretty obvious why they chose Zoe Saldana for the role of Gamora, and how she's a sister. But they wanted her to play that role, and that role was pretty much played for that. But it was very, like, okay, I was looking like, oh, I know exactly who they're trying to say and what they're trying to do. And they do a lot of this. They have a lot of esoteric symbolism that they use in these movies. And like I said in the beginning of this diary or this blog or whatever, that in Hollywood you have to be able to know a lot about the Bible and a lot about esoteric satanic symbolism for them to allow you to do movies. And people don't realize a lot of that goes on in these movies. But that was something that really bothered me too when I thought about those people. So those people look like, you know, they kind of look familiar, you know. So that was something that really bothered me too in the movie, you know, and how she was taken captive by her enemies and everything like that. And it just bothered me with that when I thought about that in that sense, you know. But I also thought about, like, the characters in the movie, like, oh man, it was just a whole bunch of other stuff in that movie that just kind of just got me going, you know. Especially the scene where Guardians of the Galaxy finally meet up. There's another scene with Guardians of the Galaxy, well, there's some of them, finally meet up with Iron Man and Doctor Strange and Peter Parker or Spider-Man. And they got up and they met up and they sitting in that scene where they're having a little Mexican standoff and, hey, I'm gonna blast your guy and I'm gonna shoot your guy, and, well, I'm looking for Thor or Thanos and you're looking for Thanos. And then Doctor Strange has his little comment where he was like, okay, I'm gonna ask you one more time, who master do you serve? And people know the scene that he said that in, and even though he said the name, he didn't say the correct name. We understood what he was trying to say because, YHWH, or people say Jesus, but that wasn't his Hebraic name because the letter J didn't exist until 1524 our century time. So how can he exist 1500 years before his name exists and not have a name? That doesn't make any sense. But basically they were trying to mock our king, or mock the king of Israel, who was sent here to give us clarity on which way to go, which path to walk. But there was that scene where they were asking who master you serve, and he was like, oh, what am I supposed to say, Jesus? And it was like, okay, well, we know what you're trying to say. We know exactly what. And that was the scene where I was watching it. We were watching it on bootleg at the time, and my wife seen that scene, and she just kind of just clocked it. She was like, oh, they're attacking our king. I don't want to watch this movie anymore. And sometimes you get to those points, especially when you see what they're trying to do and how they mock and how they the blasphemy that they use in these movies. It makes you not really want to watch it, but I find myself wanting to watch it because I want to see what they're putting in these movies and what they're hiding and what people aren't seeing. So that way we have an opportunity as the nation of waking up children of Israel, that we can go and tell our people, hey, these movies are talking about us and talking about our people, and no one's doing anything about it. But anyways, that was the scene. And also the character Star-Lord, with the name Star-Lord, he's a star child. If you ever seen the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie, you understand what we mean by saying Star-Lord, because his dad was a god, his mom was a regular woman. That falls right into Genesis 6. And if you don't know, Genesis 6 talks about how the angels fell out of heaven and they got with the women of men and made Nephilim, and that's basically what he is. He's a Nephilim, and that's why he got the name Star-Lord, Star Child, God, whatever. Just stupid stuff. But anyways, that's just one of those things. But another scene I want to talk about in this movie is the scene where they went to go get the Soul Stone. They went to the planet Vamir, Gamora, and Thanos. Now, Gamora, we all understand where her name came from. She's Gamora, just like Sodom and Gomorrah. Gomorrah represents rebellious people. That's what it is, I think, in Hebrew. Forgive me if I don't remember, but rebellious people, or, in Rod, Gomorrah, Ra. We understand Ra means evil in Hebrew. So it's like evil, rebellious people, or something like that in that context. I wish I would have had that, my notes with me, to kind of go over that, but just look it up. Just look it up or Google it. You can Google it and do that. But the scene when they went to go get the Soul Stone and they were walking, and as they were walking, they were approached by a dark figure who we figure out to be the Red Skull after it's revealed. But how he said, Thanos, son of Elis, and Gamora, daughter of Thanos. But basically they were telling them who these people were, but that's how it is in the manuscript. They say that when they talk about Solomon, son of David, of King David, or how, all the people are described as son of and the house of. And that's just basically saying that this is where you come from. This is where your name derivative from. And how it was funny how Thanos' name Elis fits right into the Hebrew word of El, meaning God, or like tree, or just like the branch or the tree. And basically that fits right into Genesis 3 when he talks about the knowledge of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or the tree of life. And basically it was saying that that's where he came from. He came from a tree, which we understand wasn't a righteous tree or an incorrupt tree. It was a corrupt tree that he came from because he was a corrupted man. But it was just funny how that was said, and I caught that, and I was kind of like, I want to look that up because I think that means this. And I was like, well, I'll do it when I get a chance. I was just taking notes when I was watching the movie when it was on bootleg, and I just forgot about it to do anything about it till now. But that was something that caught me too. But then also, in that movie, in that scene where they were talking about how to get the soul stone, it was like, well, for you to get the soul stone, you have to do a sacrifice. It requires a price, a soul for a soul. And it's funny how that was said, because uh, you know, basically she was used as a sacrifice in the movie to get the stone, which is falls into right into the idea of paganism, and how a lot of people would sacrifice their children, or sacrifice virgins or women or damsels to obtain different things out of their deities and their gods. And that was very important too in regards to that. So it was one of those things where that was important as well. And I thought that was very important too. And it was just one of the symbolisms. And one of the things that was symbolized in the movie that people didn't catch is that after he had made that comment about Thanos and Gamora being the sons of, then they showed these two, if anybody remembers the movie, there's two big towers that they showed where they had this little scene about getting the soul stone. Like, why do they got these towers in this movie? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, oh, they must be trying to tell a sign. But if you don't understand what those towers are, just go back, or just think of some of the movies we watch, like Lord of the Rings, or the Two Towers, that movie with Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. I mean, this is all symbolism in regards to the dualism that they show about, like, the yin and the yang, the alpha omega, the aleph and the tav, or stuff like that, where it's showing the both sides of things. And that was the whole point of the towers, the twin towers, so to say. And also, if you want to look up, I'm here. If you want to look up the Georgia Guidestones. That's not too far from where I am. I'm like an hour away from that. But if you look at the Georgia Guidestones, you'll understand what I'm talking about, because that right there was basically that, and it was just like they just showing these things, but people aren't really seeing them or really understanding them. But it's funny how they're showing those things and people don't see those in those movies. But it's just stuff like that was kind of getting me when that movie and how that was going down. And just some of the other stuff, obviously, with Thor being the Norse god of thunder, of lightning, and he's channeling down lightning, and we understand where that came from, of the Hamashiach saying that, oh, I seen Satan fall from heaven like a bolt of lightning. So we understand what the lightning bolt represents, and that's basically what he's supposed to represent: a powerful deity, demigod situation and stuff like that. But it was just one of those things that was on my spirit, just to kind of do this, to kind of break this down a little bit. Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff too that I should have took better notes on, but that was just some things that just kind of caught me at the moment, where I was just like, man, I haven't done a video about this, and I was meaning to kind of do a little blog about this, just to kind of put this in my my memoir, so that way I kind of keep it in reference, so I can go back and reference it. Because it was one of the things that was just like, man, they showing a lot of stuff in the movie. But it was also a scene in the movie too, when they were fighting on Titan, where Thanos was talking about balance. He's like, I'm here to rectify. Or it was also the scene too, I think, when he was with Gamora and they were sitting at his like ship on his throne, and he was like, well, why is it that everyone's telling me that I don't know what I'm doing, or I just have the will to act on it. Now my wife, it was very important, because my wife was saying that she think that Thanos, like me, I was thinking what Thanos was representing. They were trying to call him a perverse version of the Hamashiach, and my wife was saying that Thanos fit more into like a fighting angel, like Uriel or Michael or something like that. And I was like, that kind of fits into what he represents, because he has to use the gauntlet to get his power. And remember, when we talked about the gauntlet, the fist, is that the hand is nothing. If you try to fight somebody with your hand, it's not gonna do any effect. But once you close that hand and make a fist, when you show this to somebody, that's gonna represent, oh, you wanna beat me down. And remember, there was a scene where Doctor Strange's cape, or the blanket of death. That was funny, blanket of death. But his cape was wrapped around Thanos's hand, and he said, "Don't let him close his fist," because they know when that fist is closed, it's pretty much over for them. But it was funny how my wife said that he fit into like a war angel for YHWH, because that's kind of something like what he represented. When I thought about it, I said he kind of does represent, someone who. But it's funny how he said that he's trying to restore balance because this world is unbalanced. But we understand that that's what the Hamashiach is going to come back for too. He's going to come back and restore balance and order and put our nation back where it needs to go, because right now our nation is corrupt and people are following our corrupt nation. But that'll be rectified. But we can start getting right by just going back to the Most High and His commandments. But a lot of people don't understand that because they're still stuck in this world, and they're still stuck of this world, and they don't want to get out of this world when it was specifically given to us to come out of her or come out of the world. And people don't want to do that. So I don't understand that. But it's just one of those things where we don't look at that, don't understand that. But that was something that really got me too. And also another thing that really got me about the movie is that look at where Thanos's gauntlet is, the Infinity Gauntlet, and look at where it is on him. Is it on his right hand or is it on his left hand? Right hand, left hand. Where is that gauntlet at? The gauntlet's on his left hand. And that's funny because if you remember, or if anybody understands the manuscript of the Bible, there's power in the right hand and power in the left hand, but what power is in the right hand? And who's sitting on the right hand of the Most High? Psalms 110. He's sitting on the right hand of the power of Yahuwah, who is the Hamashiach, Yahushua. He's sitting in the right hand of the Father. And it's funny how Thanos' gauntlet was on his left hand throughout the entire movie. And it was put on the left hand to represent the opposing offense to the Hamashiach. Because if it was on his right hand, they would definitely have been like, oh, this is what we're... But they put it on his left hand purposely because they wanted to make it seem like he's opposing or opposite to the power of the right hand, which means it's like a clashing idea. But it's just all kinds of stuff, and how they were throwing up Baphomet and 666, and when Doctor Strange had his little epiphany when he was sitting there going through time and looping through the different outcomes, and he had his little hands. I mean, like little stuff like that people don't catch because they're so in tune with the movie, but they don't see stuff like that. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other stuff that was in the movie that I can kind of remember. That's all I can think of right now that was on my mind and my spirit. But I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. If any questions or comments people might have, let me know. Or let me know if there's anything else that I might have missed, or any script I might have missed. I don't have my sword with me. I kind of was, like I said, getting coffee and gas, so I kind of just went to Dunkin' Donuts. So just let me know how you feel about this video, and I hope it kind of brought some edification to some people. All right, have a nice day. Shalom, shalom.